Okay, so this week we're going to look at the Mixolydian and the Phrygian modes. And we're going to take exactly the same approach as we've done for the previous lessons as well. So I'm going to be moving quite quickly over the start of this. If you've not been keeping up with the course so far, then I'll put a link to the playlist in the description field. And also I've put all of these videos onto an online course. It's a free course, free to subscribe. And that has all of the text in there as well. So you can watch the videos, you can read the text, you can follow along. But the approach I'm going to take, as before, is to start with the pentatonic scale. So I'll just work in A minor, C major. But obviously the key, any key will work with this. So I'm assuming that you know all 5 positions going up and down the neck. And inside the pentatonic scale, you can think of this as being built from 2 little boxes as well. There's a green box and a yellow box. And every position is built from those 2 boxes. So if you don't understand that, then check out the course, because that breaks all of this down into much more detail. Now, to turn the pentatonic into the Phrygian or the Mixolydian, we just add 2 extra notes to each of these boxes, okay? So in the green box, we add 1 there. And in the yellow box, just there. And it doesn't matter where those green boxes now occur on the neck. In every position, you just add those extra 2 notes. So just think of these as overlays that just map on top of the pentatonic scale, and wherever you see a green box, you can use that overlay to create the Phrygian or the Mixolydian sound. And you will also notice that I've not put any root notes on any of these boxes yet. And that's because a root note changes depending on whether you're using it in a Mixolydian sound or in a Phrygian sound. So let's look in a little bit more detail. We'll start with the Mixolydian this time. Okay, so let's look at the Mixolydian mode. The Mixolydian mode can be thought of as a major scale with a flattened 7th. So let me play an A Mixolydian. So there's an A chord, and the Mixolydian scale will be there. Yeah. And if you look inside the shape, you can see there's actually another 2 pentatonic scales hidden in every position going up the neck. So you've got your original, and then inside there you've got the G major pentatonic, hidden inside that shape, and then you've got the D pentatonic, all hidden inside each of the positions going up the neck. And as with all modes, the easiest way to try and hear this is to listen to the chords, the fundamental chords that are used inside the scales. And in the case of the Mixolydian mode, it's a 7th chord. There, you can hear that 7. Another way of understanding the Mixolydian mode is to alternate between a couple of chords, create a really simple chord sequence. A classic chord sequence here would be just between A major and G major. The other thing about the Mixolydian mode, it is really common in rock music, in rock harmony, that kind of. So that's just root, down to flat seventh, down to fourth, up to root again. Or even if you do that. So what am I doing there? I'm playing my A chord, I'm playing the sixth, and then there's a flat seventh, there's a Mixolydian note, yeah? And as soon as you add that minor third as well as the major third, yeah. You really start to get into that kind of rocky sound that you find in the Mixolydian. The other sound that I really like actually is it's got a really nice sort of a modal, kind of a traditional modal sound to it. All hidden within this scale as well, so I like exploring that over a drone note, as you can hear. So that's the Mixolydian mode. Okay, so what about the Phrygian mode? Well, the Phrygian mode is very closely related to the minor scale. So if you use a pentatonic in a kind of a minor form, you know, where we start with that first position, line our index finger up, and then add those extra two notes. We end up with the Phrygian sound. And just like before, inside this, each of the shapes are another two pentatonic scales, which is worth just understanding as well. So inside the first one is a pentatonic based on the flattened seventh. So it's the minor flattened seventh. So I'm in A minor. So that would be G minor. And also inside that is the minor fourth as well. So that would be D minor. And just like before, it's worth looking at the harmony that you find inside the Phrygian scale. And the chord that kind of typifies the Phrygian sound is a little bit more dissonant. It's called a minor flattened ninth. And you can hear how that flattened ninth wants to resolve. So rarely do you actually see a Phrygian using, you know, holding or sustaining that flattened nine chord. Much more commonly, you'd use it in simple chord sequences. So there's my A minor chord, and if I went to something like that's B flat major over an A bass, you get that Phrygian sound. So that's a very common way of playing around with the Phrygian sound. In terms of the sound of the scale as well, it really has that kind of Spanish flamenco kind of cliche sound to it as well. So, you know, if I go from, what's that, E major to just slide it up a semitone, a half step, we end up with a sort of an F and an E. And just play around with the E Phrygian. You get that kind of sound out of it. It's also really common in metal as well. If you want to create something that's really kind of dark sounding, that kind of F move down to the E is really common when you want to create something that has kind of that foreboding in there as well. So it's really fun to play around with that as well. So exercises then. Just like before, it's really worth spending some time with a harmony. Just play around with some chord sequences, see what you can create. Get used to that sound of the Mixolydian mode or the Phrygian mode. Just understand what's going on in the harmony for both of these modes. That's a great place to start. Get that internalized. And then, just like before, look for some backing tracks. There are loads of backing tracks on YouTube. So play around with some Mixolydian and some Phrygian backing tracks. Play around with these shapes and just get the sound internalized. I'll put a link to a couple of backing tracks to get you started down in the description as well. Have a go with those, but obviously find your own as well. Start playing around with your own harmonies and see where you get to with it. So that's it for this time, and we'll chat next time. Goodbye.